Well, hey, friends, I told Greg Grimes I would put this video together to illustrate the process that we used for Aquatic Environmental Services for his employee surveys, how we got 100% response rate from 3 consecutive surveys, how we gathered deep, meaningful insights from his employees, things that they don't say out loud, but they will tell an anonymous survey, because Greg wants to keep his best employees forever. And that's my motto: keep your customers forever. That's the name of my podcast as well. How do you keep your members, your clients, your employees focused on you, engaged, and never leaving you? It's the same process that we've used for 25 years now for some of the biggest companies around. You would know FedEx, Verizon, Commerce Hub, Georgia Tech, but also with many, many smaller businesses across dozens of industries: chiropractors, dentists, SaaS companies, software companies, private high schools, anyone who wants to keep their best employees. They can't afford to lose their best people. They really want to understand them, to hear the things they don't say out loud, to discover their true purpose. I'm a psychologist by training, and rule number one of psychology is people are different. So your employees probably come from different generations. They have different backgrounds, different experiences. How do you manage and interact and guide each of these different individuals? It's a tough task, but it's made far easier with what we call a survey conversation, not a one-time survey, because we know surveys are not really worth our time. And the data backs this up. The studies show that professionals like us are asked for our feedback on average about 9 times per day, 63 times per week. And I thought that sounded kind of high until I started thinking about it. Yeah, if you go out and get a coffee and a bagel, at the bottom of the receipt, it says, hey, fill out our survey. And you go to a website, there's a little pop-in box that asks, how we're doing. And you talk to tech support. They want you to stay on the line to answer a survey. And you go to LinkedIn, there's polls there. And in your inbox is surveys from one company or another. I'm like, yeah, that's probably about right, about 63 times per week. But I've done my own data collection over the last year and a half, asking hundreds of individuals, how many of these surveys do you take the time to fill out, that you actually think them through and you give your honest responses? And putting all the numbers together, it turns out that it's about 3%. That is, typical professional ignores 97% of the asks that they get for their feedback. And I'm guilty of that as well. I probably fill out 3%. I'm the survey guy, and I only fill out about 3% of these because I know it's not worth my time. The questions are poorly worded. I don't think anything is going to come of this. And that's such a waste, because you think behind every one of these surveys is a team that spent a lot of time constructing the questions and putting the survey together and disseminating it and gathering the responses and analyzing it. Such a tremendous waste when only 3% of the audience is actually bothering to fill it out. And that's not how it should be. As an employer, I want 100% of my employees to answer my questions. If I ask a question, it's important because I want to get their insight so I know how to guide and interact and do what's best for them. So that's what a survey conversation can be. And the answer to do this is quite simple. It's well known in psychology. There are 9 principles of feedback, as you see here. I'm not going to go into all 9 of these, but I will mention 3 of those that we specifically applied to AES's employees, and that is asking the right questions in the right way. Second, at the right time, the frequency issue, and closing the loop. Those are 3 principles I'll describe here. I do describe it in a little more detail in the Survey Playbook. That's the world's most read survey guide. I wrote that about 10 years ago. There are 25 lessons in there because at that time I had reviewed and critiqued about 7,500 surveys. And I saw that every company makes the same errors repeatedly. So I just wrote this book to say, here are the 25 things you need to fix with your survey. And if you do that, you'll get high response rate and deep, meaningful insights, and people will want to respond to your surveys. It's used by university professors to teach graduate students, and training organizations use it a lot as well to get X-ray vision into the heads of their employees as well. So getting back to Greg's employee survey, this latest one we did last month, we focused on 3 areas: job satisfaction, trust, and fulfillment. So let me talk about each of these. Job satisfaction is a deep concept. You can't just ask one question about job satisfaction. As psychologists who have been studying this for 75 years now, we know there are 5 facets to job satisfaction. So you have to ask a question about each of these sides to understand overall job satisfaction. The problem being, if you ask one question and your employee isn't high on it, they're kind of on the fence or on the low side, you won't know why unless you ask the facet questions. So you need to know about how they feel about task significance and a sense of control, autonomy, and whether they're getting good, positive contingent feedback as well. So we asked all 5 of those questions for job satisfaction and then an overall measure. And then we did the same with trust, because trust also happens to have 5 facets to it: integrity, competence, benevolence, and the rest. So again, you don't want to ask just one trust question. You want to ask all sides of trust so you can really understand why your employees said what they did. So in this particular survey, we asked 3 of those components because we're doing a survey conversation. We don't want to make the survey too big. We ask kind of bite-sized questions, and we will do this over time and be able to monitor and judge where the numbers are going. The third question on there was about fulfillment, because Greg not only wants his employees to enjoy what they're doing and be in it for the long haul, but also, are they fulfilled? We know we're supposed to grow wherever God plants us. And the question is, did he plant you here at AES? Is this where you feel that you belong? This is where you should grow. So we asked that question. We had also asked it in the fall, and we'll ask it again in the summer because we want to monitor it over time. So that's the content part, asking the right questions in the right way. Most people aren't aware that surveys have a lot of math involved with them, psychometrics. So there's a right and a wrong way to ask questions. Make sure the response scales match the questions. Make sure you're not omitting any answers that could be chosen as well. So you want to ask the right questions in the right way, but also at the right time. You don't ever want to just ask the employees one survey. That's like, we call that a snapshot. You don't want to just take a snapshot because it's often distorted. Just like if somebody took a snapshot of you, you're standing there and somebody whips out their phone and takes a picture of you, and you look at the picture and your mouth's open or you got this funny look on your face and you're like, well, that's not how I look. And I'm like, well, that's what the picture looks like. And you say, no. If you would have taken multiple pictures, if you would have taken a video of me, then you could truly see what I look like. And it's the same with surveys. If you take one snapshot, it could be distorted. So we look at the same results over time, see how employees answer those questions from month to month. And the third principle to keep in mind is what we call closing the loop. That is, sharing nuggets of the results immediately with those who filled it out. So in the case of the survey for AES, as soon as the last employee filled it out, we went immediately back and shared some nuggets of results and said, hey, just want to let you know that 42% of you said this and 28% of you said this other response. And here were the top 5 answers to this question as well. So people can see that. And that's what people really crave. What people really want to know, that their time was worth it. The big what's in it for me is showing them, proving to them that their voice was heard, and showing them that what they said made an impact, it made a difference, and showing them how they compare to others. And the results are all the results you want. You get high response rate, 100% response rate in the case of AES. You get deep, meaningful insights. You're getting real truth. It's like having X-ray vision into somebody's head, because that's what we hope a survey does, is kind of draw out of them what they're thinking. And this is the way to do it. This is how you get to be in the top 3%. It doesn't replace one-on-one interaction with your employees, but it's a way of systematically asking the same questions over time and monitoring, taking that moving picture of your employees. And it also builds this habit that every time you ask a question, they should respond, because you're asking important questions and they are getting a big what's in it for me by seeing how they compare to others and showing them that what they said was important. And that's the habit you want to build with your employees as well. So let me conclude by illustrating all 3 of these principles in one of my favorite projects. Same principles we applied for AES, But with the cruise lines, as Greg knows, my family loves to cruise, and I'd done some work with them some years ago. But in March 2020, I got a call from Europe on a Saturday from an organization called CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association. They represent 95% of the world's cruise lines. And they called me and said, Doc, we have a problem here. There's this thing called the coronavirus. We don't know what it is, but we know we need to shut the ports down. So all these cruise ships that are out this weekend, when they come back, nobody else is going out. And this is a huge problem because our members, our best people, our best employees are 12,000 travel agents, and they're going to have no money. And they have to refund all these cruises for the next weeks or months. We don't know. And we need to keep them with us. How do we keep people who no longer have any money? We can't employ them. And we also want to know from them their insights because they're the ones that can help the cruise lines. They know the cruise lines best. We need to get their insights. So how do we do that? And they knew it was a survey conversation. So we put one together. We put together a series of bite-sized questions that we sent out as a survey every week. And then we closed the loop. So the first week we sent email to the travel agents, and you can think about how you would apply this to your own employees, to your own clients, your own members as well. But in their case, we sent this via email, just a couple of questions asking the travel agents, like, what are you going to do now? How are you financially? Have you thought through, what you can do here in the future? And they responded. And then we did something quite unusual they hadn't expected. We closed the loop. We shared some of the results back with them. And we said, thank you for responding. 22% of you said this. We asked this question, and here were the top 10 answers from colleagues just like you, just other travel agents. This is what they're doing in this tough time. Just thought you'd like to know. The next week, we asked a couple more questions, like, how are you going to keep your big whales, your best customers? What's working for you? What's not working for you? And again, we closed the loop. At the end of the week, we shared results, said, here's what 12,000 other travel agents said. Here are the top 10 things that are working really well. Just thought you'd like to know. The third week, we asked again. The fourth week, we did this for 7 weeks. And along the way, we're also asking questions about how they, the travel agents, would make the experience better for their passengers. Like, if we're going to reopen the cruise lines, what can we do to make sure these people feel safe, that they would trust going back on a cruise ship, even though there's this virus thing going around? How would you do that? And the travel agents responded in huge numbers saying, well, here's what I would put into place, and here's what my people have to say. And we were feeding this to Royal Caribbean and Carnival and Disney and Norwegian and the others, who also shared it with the CDC. And the CDC was using this as guidelines for their own protocols that they're trying to put into place about how to relaunch the industry. So we did this week after week with the response rates going up and up and up because people were getting so much out of it, the what's in it for me, that they kept responding and we kept sharing. At the end of 7 weeks, that was the end of the project, and we didn't send out another survey, and we were deluged with email from these travel agents around the world saying, hey, where's the survey? Did you include me? Did you forget me? And we said, no, the project's over. But why do you want another survey? And that's a great question to be asked. Hey, where's the survey? And we asked them, and they said, because I made a difference. I made an impact. You asked me, and you heard me, and now I can see that you're applying what I know and what I know from my passengers, and I can see what others like me are doing to help, get through this tough time, and it's really helped me. I made a difference. And I wanted to tell them what you really did was you clicked a couple of buttons on your screen and then hit submit. That's what they physically did. But in their mind, it had this huge psychological draw that I was important. And that's the feeling we wanted them to have. We wanted them to stay forever and focus on being in that CLIA organization. And that's exactly what happened. When we asked them later, how many of you would want to do some more surveys and help, 98.7% said, yes, send me the survey. I want to help. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for the members of C12. I want your employees to say, where's the next survey? How can I help you? Because you're showing me what my colleagues are thinking. You show me where I stand relative to others. I'm making a difference. And that's the power of a survey conversation. So if you want to learn more, here's 4 ways. One is we can create a survey conversation for your specific employees and for your situation. Just send me an email. As you can see on the screen here, put C12 in the subject. So that will go directly to me as well. And we can set up a call or a Zoom like this. And let me hear about how things are going at your organization. If you want to do a client survey, one for your customers, your members, it's the same principles, how to keep your clients forever, same as keep your employees forever. If you want to gather some meaningful, deep information from your clients or members or customers, we can do that as well. So third, if you already have a survey that you've used or have a survey that might need a little improvement to get up into that 3% category, I have a service I've done for a long time called Review My Survey. I've reviewed and critiqued more than 9,000 surveys over the last 30 years. That's what companies do, is they send me their surveys and I go through it line by line. I use my 25-item checklist, show them which response scales are going to work and which ones won't, and how to change the response scale to fit the questions, and show them which options they need to include in there, any missing questions, show them how to ask comments in a way that really draws in a lot of deep insights, and then send it back to them. Or I often do the work and just post the survey myself as well. So if you need that assistance, let me know. I'll make sure you get the highest response rate and deep, meaningful information from 100% of your employees. Or finally, you can just read the survey playbook, apply all 25 lessons in that book, have someone on your team go through your survey and make sure that your surveys have all those 25 characteristics in them, and that's how you can get the best possible survey. So call or write anytime. Love to hear from you. Thanks for your time.